Meet The Lot, native token of Lukki Exchange and the most potential tool for investing this year. Trade now on P2B, B2B and Lukki.io.
And this is what I want from everyone. I don't want you doing it my way. I do my own stuff my way. I want you doing your own stuff your way. And along this, we're going to talk about where I want things to be. And I just heard from the back people talking about how Bitcoin's more difficult to use because of tap cards. In the next year, you're going to see a number of technologies we've been patenting and releasing and getting ready. And we're going to make it so that tap cards are that thing that people talked about and go, when I was a kid, we had this really difficult technology that was not secure and awful. You had to actually tap a card. It's actually going to be that different. That's where we're going. And we've got this sort of thing here. We had 4.3 gigabytes actually could be in a transaction in version 1. Seems a bit strange and people look at that weirdly and all the rest, and we've got so little on what transaction volume is. But our goal is next year we're going to basically have the protocol without all the interference. We're going to up everything so that we can handle at least 4,000 transactions a second. And after that, we're going to increase it again when we get to multiple gigabyte blocks. And then when Teranode's out, we're aiming for 2 million. And we're aiming within 2 to 3 years to have 2 to 4 million transactions a second peak. And then we're going to keep going. My goal is very simple. I'm going to do the Dr. Evil bit here. 1 billion transactions. Why? Because we want to start everything. We want the fourth industrial revolution. We want everything. When I talked the other day about being able to authenticate, I mean we can start device authenticating more securely than passwords. We can start encryption tunnels more securely. We can make mobile IP work. We can actually have IPv6 tunnels that self-replicate routes so that anywhere in the world, your actual IP address that you have routes to you. Anywhere. Why? Because we want to actually start storing data usably on the blockchain. And that's some of the things we've been working on. So we've been doing compression algorithms, advanced scripting, all these other things that work with just the original, and I mean only the original version 0.1.0 scripting technologies. Nothing I'm going to talk about requires anything that wasn't in the 2009 version of Bitcoin. We're going to start having your keys control access. Imagine a global internet of everything stored, and imagine that every 15 months, because of doubling, it doesn't matter anymore, because unit 1 doubles. So your entire history of the internet fits into the other half of what you've doubled. And the year after that, that fits into the other half. We never run out of space. Theoretically, with modern physics, around the year 2601, Moore's law hits a dead end. But that's someone else's problem, and I'm not going to worry about it for now. That's what the grandchildren are for, hopefully. Now, we want to disrupt everything. We want to make something where you can create new code bases, new systems, new architectures, not of the internet, not of wine. The nature of peer transactions will be brought back next year in Bitcoin, so that I can actually go up to someone and I can do an offline transaction that is just as secure as anything that happens on BTC, whatever, with a full bloody Lightning node right now. In fact, more secure, utterly secure, because I don't care about my payment being replaced, because either I get my change or the guy doesn't get paid. Again, how many merchants are going to screw me by not taking my money? Think about it. And we don't want it just the other. We want to be able to purchase keys to get data. If we store everything in multiple locations, we can have things like Netflix and whatever else, but make it simple, make it easy. Copyright's very simple. It's economic. We saw that with all of the different models. People don't really go out there to download and steal things anywhere near as much anymore, and it's getting less and less. Why? Because it's too simple to actually stream now. So why bother with all this? So it's time. It's time to shrug and change the world. And we're going to do that. As I said, everything grows exponentially. This is like the chessboard. So when I say we're going to be able to get this, it's because we should be able to do it right now. 1 meg blocks are a freaking attack. That's all they've been. They are the thing that destroys Bitcoin. We don't want people thinking they need to be nodes. We want people to trust competition. Miners don't validate your node. Miners go out there and validate that they couldn't find anything wrong with the other miners. Think miners are out there trying to invalidate other miners. They're trying to find errors that another miner made so that they can get a little bit more profit. Miners basically ensure that you're valid and your transaction's right because they get paid. It's capitalism 101. So, what we've been working on what we call MetaNet. We, in first stages, will be looking at basically integrating everything. The nature will be of a transactional ledger. Not, as you know, the internet now. We can have a Facebook page in a 1K transaction. I said that correctly. We can actually sell you a Facebook page in a 1K transaction. We have a number of transmission techniques, including compression and whatever else, where we can link to either already distributed images and all the rest in the blockchain, allowing decryption on the fly. If people tell you you can't do Diffie-Hellman ECDSA with more than 2 parties, they're wrong. I solved it. So, sorry, you can do many, many parties now. It's not 2 different Diffie-Hellman keys, it's as many as we have. So, what we're going to actually, you distribute your data. I care that you distribute it. If you have hand cache, or near field, or IP, or private networks, or X25, it's a value network. The entire global system connected commercially. We have small goals. We don't think of big things in N-chain. So, peer-to-peer. Peer-to-peer was the promise of Bitcoin. Why did we remove IP to IP? Because it's insecure. What, a bank can solve it, but you can't? Amazon can solve it, but you can't? Does Amazon not sell to you because, well, man-in-the-middle attacks might do something? No, they fixed it. In Bitcoin, everything that was good was thrown out because it was too hard. The script has an error. Do we fix it? No. Throw it away because it's too hard. Turn it off. It's too hard. Scaling is too hard. We are the geniuses who gave you too hard. Peer-to-peer is coming back. This is coming back. Not for money, for everything. For any communication. You want privacy in Bitcoin. Then the ability to do an offline secure transaction to another party, that's private. To have a key that is used once and destroyed is private. No tracking if you don't want it. If you want to be secure and go up and use it as cash, then use it as cash. More, we want every bit of information with a value because it all has value. The difference between information and data is money. Right now, I have to pay for my Google searches with a whole pile of crap. I would rather give them half a cent a day, and that would be more profitable if everyone gave them half a cent a day. Heavy users maybe more. So I would rather not have a page of ads, be redirected to Nike shoes when I'm searching up something not even related to shoes, and actually search what I was promised, like Google used to be before ads. That's what I want. I want all of this information there, all of the things I have. I want all of my applications connected by APIs directly into the blockchain. So that's what we're going to start doing. The way we're going to open this up isn't just RPC. We're going to make different types of message queue calls, different things to miners. So where we talked about miner ID, that will also allow us to have APIs. Which miner supports which APIs? It's not about this miner is going to be recognized and break the consensus. It's about how does that miner differentiate themselves and sell extra services? This miner supports RabbitMQ. Great, I know now. That's where we're moving. We're going to allow anyone to build on a stable protocol because it does this. That's what scale is. This is where people go wrong. They show you log growth and things like that, but that's the real growth. This is what happens. This is why we need a dynamic architecture, why we want to build on this. So what MetaNet is a foundation protocol to allow everything the internet has, except actually valued. Imagine paying people micropayments for their Wikipedia arguments, and actually, if they're wrong, they don't get paid. So I got a perfect example. I've got a Wikipedia page that says I don't have a doctorate, and we've contacted Wikipedia, several people have, and said the university actually says I do, and they said, but Forbes said the university said you don't. So the university is less authoritative on their own issuing of degrees than Forbes. Welcome to the modern troll-based internet. I'm sorry, Forbes obviously knows more than the university who I studied with. I mean, welcome to reality. We're going to allow each layer, the way we have now, to sell storage, to do it over time, to lock, to do everything that people started to do with a central network called the internet. It is one central global network of miners, and it is central because there is one internet, one metanet, all in competition. Not controlled, stable. Not dictated, competed. One network that they can call central all they want. I don't care. One source of truth. One light system. One system that everyone knows. A system that allows automation of auditing. I started doing CATS, which is computer-aided audit technology, not crypto shitties, and wrote code for people back in the early 2000s. So I've got code for tax audits and things like this that I've written. So no one in core world looks at my code because none of them actually understand what audit means. And I can tell you, automation helps. As an example, I worked with a company when I was at BDO called Wattle. We did an audit, and being able to automate some of the audits brought in $2 million worth of losses a year. They had a $4 million profit margin for a listed company. Altering losses and increasing 50% their profit added value, strangely enough. Shareholders were happy. A couple of the incumbent people in a few departments weren't. Can't please everyone. So, it's a commodity ledger, remember, and we want all these things I talked about. We're going to basically build everything. End sequence, peer-to-peer exchange is coming back. I want to see people exchange and negotiate even high-frequency trades, auctions, voting, and settle on the internet. I want them to be able to do a back and forth and settle on the internet. I want more than that. I actually want all of this, and some of the things were patented and will only be allowed on our network, include actually the miner network effectively being an old 60s type network scaled and modernized. It will be the concept of a paid global data share computer These things that you hold, whether they're TVs, monitors, phones, holodeck things, they will just be the way of connecting. You want to get access to run programs, pay for it as timeshare, the same way old buggers like me used to do when we started playing with computers in the 70s, but not expensive, fractions of a cent, allowing you to have domains, hierarchies, everything. We are going to start coming up with different ways for you to connect all of this. Funny enough, no one's looked at patent number 1 that we've still got out there. Patent number 1 that I filed with nChain was actually a simple little thing, which was a corporate ledger. So we take a way of having hierarchical keys, and with just those keys, you can instantly recreate your company accounts. So using a subset of the Bitcoin ledger, which is global, only decrypting each area you want to print a report. The same way something like Oracle works right now, except you don't have a server. I don't know, I think that's probably valuable to a few people. A database that can't be changed. A set of accounts that the government can audit without bothering you. Imagine, the audit happens and you get a thing going, we've audited you and it's over. Thank you. Next year we'll do the same and we'll tell you after the fact with a letter. Have a nice day. I think that's good. We will have payments built in for anything, anywhere, any way. We will allow searching. So, unfortunately, if Google doesn't want to talk to us, I don't know if they will or won't, we're building search engines too. Linked communications, but everything embedded. So the simplest way of doing it would be right now on a 1K transaction, you could create a complex, rich invoice, giving all the data, giving the address, giving the user, the name, all the details of the transaction, which is a permanent tax invoice that never goes away. And it can have all pretty logos and all the rest. And there you go. Everyone can sign it and agree, and there's no arguments. As much coding as you want to make it pretty, we can basically link into a 1K transaction. Don't know about you, but I think that probably has some value to people. So, deterministic keys. I won't go into all the gobbledygook and the technobabble that I keep saying. As everyone knows, I talk technobabble all the time. But our technobabble is going to allow you to actually do all of the equivalent of everything hypertext does. And I'm not talking HTTP 0.9 or anything like this. I'm talking rich websites right today. I'm talking if someone wanted to actually build absolute security, split key technology, allowing multiple people to view things with even corporate pages, go for it. We're going to allow everything, whether it's US military. I don't give a shit if they're going to spend money on my system and they're going to hand money to minors. Have a nice day. Digital paid TV, gaming companies, allowing things like Walmart to take their $50 billion a year worth of expenditure on their $1.4 trillion worth of EDI transactions and make it cheap. For their customers, it costs an average of $3 per transaction. For Walmart, it costs 30 cents. We're going to have to rip them off and charge, say, maybe a cent. Which I'm sure no one would like that. So, metadomains. What we'll be doing is actually embedded information within all of the transactions. These can be completely public, they can be isolated, they can be grouped. You can select hierarchical groups of who can alter, who can update, who can view. Like Git, everything stays. You only see necessarily the updated version. But we can even have records of changes, not knowing what the changes are unless you're an authorized party. So everything that people talked about in R back in the 80s and 90s and then forgot about it because they said too hard, we can create app stores right now, allowing you to swap code. So, advantages. We're going to allow you to trade anything, have digital rights management on everything, know where things are. We have techniques that will allow you to have copyright not only on the document, but fractional parts of document. So Merkle tree copyright aspects, so that you can actually now tell when people have taken something over free use versus the other, fractional parts, meshing, payment for sections, so selling paragraphs. All of this. We're going to allow you to create any amount of applications, not that I can imagine, that you guys can imagine. That's what we're going to do. I don't want to say what you can and can't build. Good, bad, ugly, I don't care, as long as you don't fuck up everyone else's building. If you don't change the protocol and break everyone else's, no problem, go for it, not stopping you. The internet, people do stuff. Welcome to the world. We're not here to judge. We're here to give you a platform that will scale. One that won't just be scaling to Visa, one that won't be scaling to MasterCard, one that isn't going to just stop at a certain limit. We want you reading and writing data. We want compressed, encrypted data. We want you to search content. We want you to be able to find anything. We want the entire aspect of human nature to be saved. Asimov had a good idea. In a global world of all this information, there will be specialists whose job as a historian, which was what Asimov talked about, will be digging through old records of 1,000-year-old blockchain records to find what happened and try and rebuild the past. That's something we see. So we're going to create a universal architecture for you, something with all of this stuff, something with everything that you can then create anything you want. Not something small, everything. We want to see something like an app. We want to then communicate, revealing the key because it's there in public until you buy the key. Buy the key, get the app. This can be timed. We can do it atomically. This is why we did a real atomic swap, not the half-assed sort of contracts that you see right now. When I talked about some of these things earlier, this is what we want to build into it. So, I'm not going to bother you with some of the fun things under the hood. You can talk to some of us and Owen and whatever else. All of this will be public when it comes out and hits patent land anyway. But this is what Bitcoin really is about. Bitcoin is a value network, a global way of opening trade. Bitcoin is there to enable you to create the next wave of global commerce. Thank you.